Hello, welcome back. Now, let us proceed to creating the plunger rod of our model. So in Fusion 360, what we do is create multiple parts and we combine them together into an assembly. So in this case, first let us save our design. So click on File, Save. In this case, I have already saved our design and we will call it the main barrel and click on Save. Okay, now let us create the plunger rod. So on the top right, you'll see a plus button. So let us create new design. And again, we will leave it as is. So part design standard grams. Create new. And this time, in this part of the design, we will create the plunger rod. So to create the plunger rod, first let us begin with a circle. But in this case, we will sketch in the XY plane. So instead of sketching a circle, we will be sketching a rectangle. So let us sketch a rectangle. So draw a rectangle first. It doesn't matter how big it is. Then we will give it our dimensions. So in this case, this will be the thumb press. And we want to give it a radius of 7.75 and a thickness of 1.5. Make sure that when you sketch your rectangle, you select the center point. Because for example, if you do it like this, okay. If you sketched it without selecting the center point, what happens is that even though that it has dimensions, which I will type it again, in this case, it's going to be 7.75. What happens is that you can notice that the sketch is still blue. And of course, we want it to become white in order for it to be fully constrained. So to constrain this, we can also select coincident. So coincident means a point overlaps with a line or another point. So we click on coincident, we will select the bottom left corner and our origin or center point, and notice that they will overlap. And now the sketch is fully constrained. Next, we will draw the ribs of our plunger rod. So to draw the rib again, we create another rectangle, a 2-point rectangle. We select point A, then point B. Then we will add dimensions. So we select D. The height of our plunger will be 75 mm. And the thickness will be around 5. Lastly, let us draw the piston part or the part that will attach to the rubber piston. So in this case, that is simply again two um, two rectangles, which I'll show later why that is the case. So first, let's draw one rectangle over here and another rectangle down below. In this case, the heights will be the same, so we can use the equal constraint, so equal, and select the two heights. Then we can only, if we dimension one of them, in this case, I will make it around point or 1 mm. As you can notice, since there's an equal constraint, both of these rectangles now have a height of 1 mm. Okay, now we will set the diameter. So in this case, we want the outer rectangle to have a diameter of, let's say, around 6.5 mm, which is, sorry, a radius of 6.5 mm. Then the inner rectangle will have a radius of 6. Now click on Finish Sketch. Notice that everything is fully constrained. So we'll click on Finish Sketch. Okay, now you might be wondering, this looks nothing like a circle, right? Or a cylinder. So aside from extrude, we also have what we call revolve. So revolve allows us to revolve our sketch profile around a selected axis. So in this case, if I click revolve, I will select this circle and the bottom two circles, and our axis will be the y-axis, or simply the sketch line. And what you notice is that they will form a circle. As simple as that. I will click OK. And now we have the upper part and bottom part of our plunger. Now, to create the ribs of our plunger, we will go back to sketches on the top left and make it visible. And now we will click extrude. We will extrude the rib symmetrically. So in this case, our direction will be symmetric and our measurement will be half the length, or we can set it to whole length instead. Then the thickness of a rib is 1.2 mm. So let us type 1.2, and as you can see, it will extrude the rib. But there's a problem. Of course, the syringe has 4 ribs, and right now there's only 1. So to put 4 ribs, what we will do is we will do a circular pattern. So first, let us hide the sketch. We will click on Create, Pattern, and Circular Pattern. Or, we can again click letter S and search for Circular Pattern. In this case, we will select an object and we will click on Features. So, we have 3 types of selections. We have bodies, which is the entire body. We have faces, which is the faces of the object, or the flat parts of our object, or curved sections. And lastly, we have features. So features are parts that we extruded, parts that we left, or parts that we added to our design over time. So in this case, I will select this feature, which is the extrusion, and our axis will be the y-axis. So I'll click on that, and notice that it will create a circular pattern around the y-axis. In this case, I want 4 of them to create 4 ribs. I will click on OK. And there, we have now finished the plunger rod of our syringe. And now, on the next video, we will create the rubber piston. So be sure to save this as the plunger rod and click on Save.